Welcome everyone to our class. Today in our class we are going to discuss about the tides. Okay. In oceans Canada's tide originated. So what is tide and how many types of tides are there and what are the effects of the tides we are going to discuss here. Okay. So first the tide, what is that and how it is originated. First of all, the origin tides are the alternations of the rise and fall of the water surface. Okay. Surface water is rising and falls of the water surface. So rise of the water is known as the high tide and fall of the water is known as the low tide or the ebb tide. So there are the this how this form this tide form. There is a two reason mainly these formations of the tide. Number one is the rotations of the earth and number two is the gravitational pull of the sun and the moon. Okay, so these are the two main reason. So first of all, rotations of the earth, how they help to origin the tide. Due to the rotations of the earth, the centrifugal force is produced, right? And due to that reasons, there is a the centrifugal force mainly produced due to the rotations of the earth, and that causes tide in the opposite sides of the earth forcing the moon. Okay, when the opposite side the earth forcing the moon. And next, then one, the gravitational pull, how the sun and moon can help to origin the tides. But according to the Newton law of the gravity, the sun and the moon are responsible for the generating high and low tides on the earth's surface. So but the moon is nearer to the earth and sun is far away from the earth, but moon have more gravitational pull on the earth rather than the sun. Understood? Sun is a big one, it's have maximum gravitational pull, but because of the moon is very near to the earth, so it have the maximum gravitational pull on the earth. So normally due to the gravitational pull of the moon, tides occur on the surface of the earth. Okay. And another one, the lunar tide and the solar tide. What is that? Well, the tide which is formed by the attractions of the moon, that is known as the lunar tide, and the tide which is formed by the attractions of the sun, that is known as the solar tides. Okay. So but always remember that the lunar tide is stronger than the solar tide. Okay. Now the how many types of the tides are there? Primary type and the secondary type. So primary and the secondary, what is that? You can see the picture. Primary tide means the places on the rotating earth facing the you can see the portion which is facing the moon. They experience maximum pull by the moon, and these portions will be seen the mainly the primary tide, and this is known as the primary tide. Okay, if these portions is facing the moon, that means it is mainly these regions will mainly you can see these regions will mainly face the primary tide. And if these portions here in this side, these portions is facing the moon, then these portions will have the primary tide. Okay. Next one, what is secondary type? Secondary type means the places of the earth which is opposite, the portions which is faces the earth which is faces the moon, that portions have the primary tide, but the opposite side of the earth, that will experience tide as well, and that tide is secondary tide, and which is due to the centrifugal force of the earth. And here again, remember, according to the Newton's law of the gravity, the pull of the directly proportions to the mass but inversely proportions to the square of its distance. Again I am telling you, according to the Newton gravitational law, he said that the pull is directly proportions of the mass but inversely, opposite, proportional to the square of its distance. So as you can see, the sun is 2 crore 60 lakhs heavier than the moon, and it is far away 150 million kilometer away from the earth, and the moon is 3,84,000 kilometer from the earth. So the gravitational pull of the moon is 2.2 times greater than the sun. So due to that reasons, and this tide happened. And so I hope all of you understood the primary and the secondary tides. Again, I'm telling you, primary tides means the portions of the earth which is facing the moon, and the opposite portions of the earth that is totally opposite side, that is also experience tide, but that tide is known as the secondary tide. Okay, again, the reasons I'm telling you, because the sun is far away from the earth, but it is used, still the moon is very near to the earth, so that's why the gravitational pull of the moon is maximum rather than the sun. Again, the earth rotates once in a 24 hours, so when rotating one on its axis 24 hours means one day, right? So the place on the earth that facing the moon, that will experience high tide, and its antipode place will experience high tide, while low tides occur on their right angle positions, mane other side, they face the low tide. So in 24 hours there is a two high tide, primary and secondary, and two low tides are there. So durations, throughout the 24 hours durations, the each tide is 6 hour later there is a tide you can see. Okay, so I told you again, each place in 24 hours there you can see primary tide, secondary tide, and another two side that will face the two low tides. So during the durations of the each tide, there is a 6 hour. Okay, then what is low tide? When the high tides are formed, money in this side the moon is there, the all the water is capturing by this side and this side. So and these two side there is a no water is very low. So when the high tides formed, simultaneously the low tide occurred in the right angle positions of the high tides. As the water moves away, causing the lowering the surface water, so that is known as the low tides. Next one is the tidal intervals. What is the how? Now this is the things you have to know, or you have to understood properly. So time gap between the two primary tides is 24 hour 52 minute, and moon takes mainly 27 days to revolve around the earth. How many days moon take? 27 days to complete one revolutions around the earth. Okay, and earth spin on its axis 24 hours. So one complete rotation, that means 24 hours. So in one day that is the moon mainly in one day earth complete the rotation 360 degree. So in one day the moon advanced 360 plus 27 and 30 degree, for which the earth require 13 into 4. Okay, 13 into 4, if you convert it into the degree, 13 into and you know the minute, 1 degree equals to 4 minute. So 36 plus 27, and now you have to convert it in degree, that is 13 degree for each, and 13 degree if you convert into the time, then 13 into 4 minute, that is the 52 minutes. So that will experience another high tide. And after this tidal interval between the primary tide and the secondary tide is the 12 hour 26 minute. One times the earth faces the moon, a place like this place is facing the moon in the morning. Okay, then after in the morning 6 a.m., then after 12 hour 26 minute later, this place again the facing the another primary and secondary tides. Okay, so primary and secondary tides, there is a difference between the 12 hour 26 minute. Okay, and between one high tide to the next low tide, there is an interval between the 13 minute, 6 hour 13 minute, and so the secondary tides occur 12 hour 26 minute, and after primary tides the low tide takes place 6 hour 13 minutes. Just think about it. The 1-2 primary and secondary type time between, that is 12 hour 26 minute, and one high tide to the one low tide, that is 6 hour 13 minute, totally half of it. 12 hour 26 minute, then it is half to 6 hour 13 minute, the differences between the high tide and one primary tide to the low tides. Okay, So this is the time interval. Next, spring tide. Okay, spring tide, what is that? This is more, the high tide is also known as the spring tide in CZK positions. So what is the CZK positions? Later I am going to discuss again. So CZK positions, what is that? CZK means the positions of the sun, the moon and the earth, they are in the same line. The earth, moon and the sun. So either the moon is located, moon there is a two type of moon, no? New moon and full moon. Either the new moon and full moon tidal range differences in the higher between the high tide and low tide is the highest. So just remember during the springtime. Then again I am telling you about the CZK position. What is CZK? So first just remember during the spring tide that the highest tide or the highest tide is known as the spring tide. This is it. So now during the CZK positions, this high tide occur. Next one is a neap tide. The low tide is also called neap tide. Mane are right angle positions. In the right angle, when there is a primary tide and secondary tide occur, the right angle there is a low tides occur. So the right angle positions of the sun and the moon, when they encounter each other, tidal range become least. Okay, tidal range become least. You can see the earth, the moon and the sun, the right angle. So there is a very least rising of the water. So that is known as the neap tide. Now this is the most important, is the CZK. What is the CZK? The positions, the straight line positions. So the center, the sun is there, the moon and the earth, when they lie on the straight line, the sun, the moon and the earth, when they are in the straight line positions, that positions is known as CZK. Here now, if the sun and the moon lie in the same sides of the earth, this is earth, this is moon, this is sun. So if this is located in this side, this is known as the conjunctions. Remember what is called that? Conjunction. The sun, the moon lie in the same side of the earth. That means sun, earth is in either side, and here is sun and here is moon. Here is moon and here is sun. Then these positions is known as the conjunction. When the new moon takes place this time, and if the earth lies in the middle between the sun and moon, these positions is known as the opposition. Okay, this is the full moon times. Okay, this is a full moon time, and this in CZK positions, the new moon and full moon spring tide occur. Understood? I told you before during the spring tide that that the highest tide is known as spring tide, but it will happen in the CZK position, and that may be the new moon or that may be the full moon. So the CZK in these positions, if the in the straight line positions, and here the also the highest tide occur. So I discuss about the what is CZK. CZK mainly the straight line positions of these three heavily bodies. So when the earth is here, and then the moon and the sun is there, that is the conjunction positions. If the sun and the moon in the same side, that is the conjunction position. But when the earth is in between the sun and moon, that is the opposition position. And this time the full moon, new moon occur, and during this time the full moon occur. And this is how the CZK occur. Here I am showing you the picture. This is the positions of the CZK in the full moon. See, here the moon, here the sun, and earth is the position. This is the opposition position. Just remember, if the earth is in these positions and sun and moon in this side, then that is the opposition position. Here this is the spring tide, as you can see, and this is the neap tide. Okay, the either side, this is the neap tide. In these two positions there is a no water rising, so this is the neap tide. Okay. Next one, we are going to discuss about the apogee and perigee. What is apogee? When the moon revolves around the sun and the earth and the sun, when the moon revolves around the earth, the distance between the moon and earth is sometimes it is very close and sometimes it is very far away from it. When the positions of the sun, positions of the moon and the earth is very far away, that time that is known as farthest, that is known as the apogee. That time the distance of the Earth and the moon is the 4 lakhs 7,000 kilometer. This is the apogee positions. Then what is the perigee positions? When the moon is very nearest to the earth, maybe there is a distance between the moon and the earth is 3,56,000. This positions is known as the perigee position. And during the perigee positions, the high tide are the highest, and apogee positions, high tides are the least. Now then, what is the tidal bore? Tidal bore means during the very large tides, that time the waves that is 5 to 6 meter high, and that entering with the great speed with the into an estuary. That time in the estuary and delta, the estuary is the funnel shaped landform, and here is a huge amount that water, that 5 to 6 meter high waves that getting inside the estuary, and during that reasons the tidal bore happened in that regions, and the flood is also happened during that system. So it is the common in Hooghly river estuary. Then the conditions of the tidal bore. So what the conditions needed for the tidal bore? Number one, during the tidal bore mainly frequent if there is a during the spring tide occur, or two wide rivers and its due and its mouth. Also you can see the tidal bore. If there is a obstructions entering the tide water into a river, there is a tidal bore happen. Presence of the funnel shaped river and mouth is most important. Perennial river also most important. So in the river Hooghly, there is a highest of the tidal bore, that is 4 to 5 meter, you can see. So this is the perigee positions, which is when the earth very come to the earth, very near to the earth, and this is the apogee positions when the moon is very far away from the earth. So I hope you understood about the perigee and apogee. Now the last we are going to discuss about the effect of the tides. So what are the effect of the tides? The large vessels can enter the part of the high tide that exits the port and the low tide easily. Silts, and due to the tides, silts and the urban waste are also washed away with the low tides. And due to the high tides, the turn the river water to be saline. Okay, and what happened during the high tides? Many sea fishes entered the rivers, and during the high tides often causes the bed to be sullen by the silting. Okay, mane depositions of the a lot of silt mane materials, okay, which is carried by the river or the oceans. In cold temperature region, river port remain frost free in winter because of the tide water turns the river water into the saline. And also the electricity is generated with the help of the tidal energy. And also the tidal bores often damage the settlement and the farmland. So these are the effect of the tides. So I hope all of you understood. If there is any problem, please let me know, and if you understood, so please give a like. Thank you everyone. See you in our next video.